Good day, everybody. Dr. Mike here, talking to you from the Premier Podcast. Today, we're going to talk getting into October, November, December-ish, getting into the cold and flu season. First off, I'm going to address the elephant in the room here. The cold and flu season has been deemed a season when it really isn't a season. And what I mean by that is it is a time of year where our diets typically go out the window. We tend to eat a lot more sugar, a lot more wheat, a lot more gluten, a lot more dairy, a lot more processed food. We drink a lot more alcohol. During these 3 months. In fact, I will probably willing to bet that these 3 months are probably the most loaded when it comes to poor nutritional choices, poor alcohol choices, and poor exercise choices in the entire quarter. Out of all the 4 quarters in the year, this is probably the most toxic quarter of the entire calendar year. And it is, think about it. We've got football in October. We've got fall changing. We got pumpkin spice. We've got pumpkin bread and all these. And then we go into Halloween, which is candy and sugar and processed dyes and things of that nature. Then we go right into Thanksgiving. We go into Thanksgiving, where some of us Thanksgiving is a day. Some of us Thanksgiving is 4 days, depending on not only different family members you necessarily need to spend Thanksgiving with, but sometimes it's just eating all the leftovers from Thanksgiving, right? So, and then you go obviously right into December with work parties, office parties, family parties, Christmas, So these, there's an old joke that we turn these holidays into holla months, because that's exactly what happens, is that we wind up creating this just overwhelming toxic support on our systems, this toxic load. We wind up gaining weight due to inflammation, we gaining toxicity, and all the same while you have, October, which you can go anywhere between 85 degrees to 30 degrees in 2 days, especially in the state of Indiana, right? So we have this constant barrage of nutritional assault combined with a complete fluctuation in the weather, combined with higher levels of stress dealing with family and travel and things. So we have all this just unbelievable suppression to our systems that we don't typically notice or seem while we're getting it done. And then when January comes around, bam, we've got colds, we've got flus, right? And then after January, everybody tries to go to on a detox, or they tried to go to lose weight and they go to the gym, and all of the toxic load they just accumulated over the past 3 months then has to be detoxified somehow. And during January, February, March, again, given the fact that there's also no vitamin D in the state of Indiana, and it's gray almost every single day of the week, we have this constant, our mood changes, our immune systems go down, we don't get the vitamin D that we need, and we wind up getting sick for the month of January, February, March, and that's why they call this the cold and flu season. So really, it is not necessarily a season as much as it is a deficiency in vitamin D3, a toxicity in nutrition and alcohol, and high stress more than usual, fluctuation in weather changes, and lack of exercise. So all these things wind up affecting our nerve system, which winds up suppressing and dampening our immune systems. And then all of a sudden out comes these symptoms of detoxification. That's another thing I want to talk about. There's an old quote from Wayne Dyer, and the quote says that if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. And this is an approach that we really need to adopt, because if you think about the way our bodies work, our bodies are very vitalistic in nature. They're not mechanistic, meaning we're not like a car. You cannot replace an engine and all of a sudden everything is good and fine. Medicine looks at organs individually and studies them for purposes of studying disease and pathology, but our bodies don't run mechanistically. Our bodies are very vitalistic in nature, which is why there's always cause and effect. You can't take Advil without having some sort of adverse effect in the body. You can't put a Claritin in your system and it may suppress one area without creating another problem somewhere else. In fact, there's an old quote from Eli Lilly that says any drug that does not have an adverse effect on the body is not considered a drug. And that's the way it is. And I'll be honest with you, I was raised just like you were. Most Americans are. Every time I had a symptom, my mom was running to the doctor, giving me drugs to try to suppress the symptom. Why? Why would you suppress a symptom if the body is expressing it for a reason? This is where the mindset needs to change, or the view, or the vantage point, or the way you look at the lens in which you look at life needs to change. Why would you suppress a symptom if your body was expressing that for a reason? The answer is simple. You were doing that to make you feel better. Now, medicine is designed to suppress a symptom to make us feel better, or to make a value look better by lowering or raising whatever chemical or hormone is out of balance. I'll give you an example. I had a patient recently call me and tell me how her kids were sick. She described the fever, the cough, the runny nose that they were suffering with. She also mentioned how quickly it came and went, which is a very big key to understanding how healthy a nervous system is. The body's going to detox from time to time, and that's okay. You can call it sickness, but it really isn't. Sickness is not expressing a symptom at all. When your body expresses a symptom, it's doing so intelligently. The body doesn't do anything unintelligently. So when she went on to describe how her husband, who is not only not under care here, didn't get the sickness that her and kids have gotten, she also went to describe the playful mocking that went on in the house about how he was the only one who didn't get it. I didn't get it. You were all under chiropractic care and I didn't get it. So my question to her was this. If you contract a virus, if you get a virus, how do you think the body is going to handle it? Or more importantly, how do you think the body innately knows how to get rid of it? So she kind of paused and thought and didn't think of it from this vantage point, but we discussed the ways the body innately knows how to get rid of viruses, detoxify, and heal themselves on their own. Cough through the lungs, expelling mucus that's been trapped in the lungs. Fever, body temperature designed to raise temperature to kill an infection. Diarrhea, bowels, it's in urine. Skin, eczema, right? Sinuses, runny nose, lymphatic system, ears, right? These are all the portals of detoxification and elimination for the body. So if these are portals of elimination designed to detoxify when the body is trying to fight things off, then why would you ever try to take something to shove all of it back in? However, somewhere along the way here, someone has told us that if you have these symptoms, then you are sick. And if you are sick, because you're not going to go to work or you're going to go to school, you must suppress these symptoms to help you feel better. And folks, that goes above and beyond what innate is trying to do anyway. The real sickness comes in the fact, if you've never got the symptom, what happens? If you never got the fever, if you never got the cough, if you never got the diarrhea, what happens to all those toxins? Do you think they just get stored in your lymphatic system, in your tissues? Well, they bioaccumulate, right? They bioaccumulate over time and create a compound interest negatively on your system, which makes your system's ability to adapt and heal smaller. All these stressors constantly accumulate and make your window to adapt smaller. And that's the problem. The problem with suppressing anything is that it has long-term adverse effects. You're not going to see this from a day-to-day standpoint, but you'll see it over time, and you'll see it cumulatively over time. So specifically, suppressing symptoms with drugs overrides your innate ability to adapt efficiently to the stress in the environment long term. I'm going to say that again. Suppressing symptoms with drugs or chemicals overrides your innate ability to adapt efficiently to stress in the environment long term. So it lowers your capacity for your system to adapt to your environment. It's like antibiotics. Continued antibiotic usage has been shown to alter the strength and the efficiency of the immune system. In fact, since the onset of antibiotics, we've had more cancer in this country than ever before, right? And I tell patients that, when you're dealing with antibiotics, you have to remember that antibiotics should be reserved for life-altering infections. And that's when they really work. Not sinus infections, life-altering infections. So, I urge you to start looking at the body differently. Start acknowledging that the body never dysfunctions, only adapts to whatever stress it's under. Symptoms of sickness are not symptoms of sickness, just merely symptoms of detoxification. If you could understand this and take a vantage point in how your body or how you view your body, you will start thinking differently. And when you start thinking differently, you hence start acting differently. Maybe instead of suppressing the symptoms of cough, you understand that you're trying to get rid of something toxic that needs to get out of your body somehow. If you believe this, you wouldn't take the cough suppressant. Instead, you would try to accelerate your body's ability to heal and detox. You get adjusted more. You take more vitamin D3. You take Agricept. You take, which is a natural antibiotic or a natural antiviral. You would rub some oregano oil based with coconut oil on your chest. And maybe drink plenty of fluids and then get adjusted more and rest. There's a concept, right? Maybe shutting it down for a little bit. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So maybe it's time to start looking at your health differently than you ever had before. And I'm willing to bet you that if you start looking at things differently, you start acting differently. And if you start acting differently, you start getting different results. So this starts in a belief system that has unfortunately been embedded for us for generations. So the only way you transform generations' futures to come is you start getting yourself educated. And one of the ways is listening to these podcasts. You get yourself educated, you start learning and acting, and then you start getting different results. So the last thing I will tell you is that we're going into the holidays here next couple months. Do everything you can to try to minimize the toxic load, and you will not have to struggle and get a flu shot come January. Start thinking differently. It's okay for you to celebrate, but you know what? Make them days. Don't make them months. All right, guys. This is Dr. Mike signing off. Looking forward to speaking to you guys next time.